We're very lucky to have a very special person up next. Her name is Naomi Fein. And Naomi is the kind of person that when you have a conversation with her, you begin to see the world in a different way. And tonight, Naomi's going to tell us her story and why she believes about the power of visual thinking. Ladies and gents, please put your hands together for Naomi Fein.
Hello. So as I don't say, I'm Naomi Fein and I'm a professional doodler. But I wasn't always Naomi and I wasn't always professional doodler. So I made you a few drawings just to help kind of tell you how I became a professional doodler. So it kind of starts before, I guess, even before I was about 6, I think. And I remember sitting at my gran and my granda and hearing my parents talk about how my name is after my grandfather's daughter, Naomi. And I was going, what? That's not my name at all. Until that point, I knew my name is Nuna. So I was very surprised and I was really, really angry because it seemed to be that everybody in the room knew that I have a different name and that's my real name and I was the only one who didn't know about this. So the next day in crash, I went in and I was like this very innocent looking girl and I told everybody that whoever is going to call me Nuna from now on is going to get a punch in the face and my name is Naomi. And I chose to keep it. So, and actually my mom says that it was true. I did punch a few faces. So I kind of started my career as an educator when I was about 10. My sister was about 4 and I thought she was ready to learn to read and write. So I mimicked my mom, who was a teacher, and I locked her in the basement and taught her how to read and write. It was tough work, but I got it done. So she was able to read and write at the age of 4, thanks to me. And then I invested the rest of my teens into arts. I always drew. I always remember drawing. And I went to a special art school where we spent half of the week from 7:30 in the morning until evening just doing different arts and visual arts, which was a fantastic experience. From there, like a good Israeli girl, I went to the army. And I got a job to teach children, Russian children and Ethiopian children Hebrew. And I was able to take the early experience of teaching my sister and mix it with all the art skills and visual skills that I gathered and to create environment learning of kind of visual learning. I was using the walls in my classrooms and creating different games for the kids. And from there, I had a very short period of being a really bad waitress. Not good at that. And from there, I went traveling. I went to India and Nepal for about 6 months and kind of started, I guess it was something I discovered there, that kind of a spiritual journey. And that's where my name got changed as well. So until then, I was Naomi, and my mom spelled it like this. So N-O''O''Y. And then, kind of on my spiritual journey, I got a new name from a guru, and it was Amari. So really, it was Priya Amari, eternal lover, but never mind. So I came back to Israel. And I came back to being Naomi, and I fell in love with everything internet. I just loved it. And I discovered that I can use a Wacom. I don't know if any of you ever saw it. So it's kind of like a pen that gets connected to your computer, and you can draw straight into the computer. So I spent, since then, really drawing straight into computer. So all the skills I developed in early teens, I moved into the digital world. And I just fell in love with everything that was Adobe, and I became a graphic designer, an illustrator, a web designer, I did print design and game design. And then I had an opportunity. I had enough money to go and make my dream come true. And my dream, after watching Into the West when I was 17, was to come to Ireland. So I packed my bag again. I bought one-way ticket, and I came to Ireland. And when I came to Ireland, I actually went to Derry first for a year. And I changed my name again. So now I was Naomi, as you know me. And my last name is Fein, but it's spelled Fein. And when I came to Derry, I saw on the signs, Sean Fein. I was going, who's that fella? So, never mind that. So the next while, kind of since age 27, when I became Naomi, I invested all my time into communities, and especially following the Into the West dream, I worked a lot with travelers, and the travelers kind of made me look more into using my graphic skills, my doodling skills, and to help with translating complex data into a visual one, because people had poor literacy. So that was kind of my journey, focusing on community. I did kind of also grow communities around food and growing vegetables, grow your own. But the main focus I had was about co-creation. So I was looking to find a way to transfer my skills, my passion, the visual abilities that I had to other people and help them to communicate their message. And about a year and a half ago, I got a calling that said that I should go back to the business world, and that's where Think Visual was born. So before I tell you a bit more about Think Visual, I'm going to tell you a little story about how visual symbols kind of followed me in my life. And I'm sure when you hear that story, you might recognize some symbols that follow you around. So this is me in the first day in school, in high school. And on my desk, there were two things that somebody else, I don't know who it was, drew. So kind of with a pencil, and tell me if you recognize this. Can anybody see what it is? What is it? I'm not going to tell you.
Peace there?
Peace? What did I hear there? Somebody said. Two faces. What are they doing? Talking? Could be. Why not? Yin and yang. Yin and yang. Two people, two faces, talking. I think they're eating each other's noses. But yeah. So that was one of them, and I absolutely loved it. And actually, I used it very, very often when I was working with communities, talking about conflict and how each conflict have two sides and how communication have, different ways. So, kind of a version of the yin and yang, but with a bit of a story into it. And then the next one was, you might recognize it now, was this one. And I really liked it. And I kind of just were drawing it all my life since that day, just for the fun, and getting different versions of it and wondering, what's it about. And then a year and a half ago, when I started Think Visual, I had 1 week to get organized with the brand and everything to be ready for my first really, really big event. And I had to make a logo. So the first thing that came to my mind for my company, Think Visual, was this one. And it just seemed to be perfect. It just fitted it fantastically. And I've been getting such great feedbacks about it. So maybe just to kind of explain what Think Visual actually is and what a professional doodler do. So some of my work, I do visual consultancy, which means that I meet people on one-on-one and I draw their mind. I draw whatever is on their mind. I make a map, a visual map of whatever they're thinking about. So and people use it for different things. The other part I do, it's called graphic harvesting or visual recording. There's different names to it. But it means that I draw while a live event. So it could be a meeting or a live event like a conference or a workshop where my computer is connected to a projector and people can see what I'm drawing or not, or kind of recapping in a visual way every once in a while. So that's another one. And from both of those, what we get is visual outputs like animations and printed media and digital media and images for Twitter and things like that. Then the other thing I do, and I'm really passionate about that, is teaching other people the skills of visual storytelling and graphic harvesting and infographics. So kind of just to summarize kind of what is in the core of Think Visual. So this is our manifesto. I'll read it out for you. Everyone has a story to tell. When we truly listen, we are changed. Everyone is an artist. As we create, we become agents of change. Everyone is unique. When we connect, miracles happen. So that's what we believe in. So now I just want to kind of maybe go a little bit more into the visual thinking and the power of it. And I don't know if you know the Little Prince story. The Little Prince, and there was a pilot who landed in the desert, and his plane crashed, and he met the Little Prince there. And the Little Prince came to him, and the first thing he said was, "Draw me a ship." So can everybody kind of try to imagine a ship? Yeah, in their heads, grand. So the pilot said, "I can't draw." And the Little Prince said, "That's not an excuse. Draw me a ship." So the pilot tried and he drew the first ship, and the prince wasn't happy. He said that one was too sickly looking. And then he drew another one, it had horns on it, so he said that's not really a ship at all, that's a ram. And then he drew another one and said, no, that's not good as well, that's too old. So the pilot drew this. And the prince's response was, "This is just perfect. This is exactly what I wanted." Can you all imagine a ship inside of that box? And it's kind of fluffy and white, and it's just perfect. It's just exactly like you want it. So that's really what I do. So I don't draw exactly what people have in their mind, but I create those containers that allow people to fill in the box and remember what's in that box, because now it's your ship. So those are kind of 3 points that I discovered in my work in the last year and a half as a professional doodler in Think Visual. So the mind is the largest canvas. A good story is the fastest, most talented brush, like what you've done now. And metaphors are really powerful. Metaphors kind of bring that richness into the visuals, into the story. Richness of emotions and context. So a checklist for you to take away. What do you need to have to be more doodlers and visual thinkers? So first of all, I didn't put it on the list. Human brain, everybody has, I think, because your brain makes stories anyway. And a pen, ideally, I like black pen, but your preference. Paper can be a notebook or a napkin or whatever. I can attitude, so I can't draw, doesn't count. And questions. Why? What do you mean exactly? Did you mean this? Is it like, that's like a metaphor question, yeah? And you need to do it, right? So practice make perfect. Doodle at any time, anywhere. It will help you retain more information. It will help you understand it better. It will help you to be more creative and have fun. And it's actually proven that people who doodle remember and understand more, about 30% more than people who don't. And you need to pay attention to the stories that are in your stories and visual that are in your own head, and to collect powerful stories from around you, because they are everywhere, everywhere. Ads, children, signs, books, internet, and get inspired. There's really beautiful inspiring people, and I'm happy to share links with anybody who wants. So that's it, I think. I'm done.